Chief researcher Nexel's sensory membranes detected the anomaly before the station's instruments could process it. A faint pulse, barely distinguishable from the cosmic background radiation, yet unmistakably artificial. After 3 centuries of monitoring the quarantine Sol system, something had changed. Administrator, Nexel's voice rippled through the research station's communication field. I believe you need to see this. Administrator Vira glided into the observation chamber, her crystalline form catching the light of distant stars. The Ardanian science officer had overseen this station for 50 cycles, maintaining the vigil that the Galactic Council had mandated after the disappearance. Show me, she commanded, her facets shifting to analysis configuration. Nexel adjusted the quantum sensors, focusing them on the 3rd planet of the Sol system, Earth, the homeworld of humanity, a species whose sudden vanishing had become one of the galaxy's greatest mysteries. The signal pulsed again, stronger this time. It's coming from the surface, Nexel explained, his membrane surface rippling with excitement. And it's encoded in quantum patterns that shouldn't be possible for at least another 1,000 years of technological development. Vera's crystalline structure vibrated with concern. The quarantine protocols were established when humanity simply vanished. Nexel interrupted. But this is different. Look at these patterns. The holographic display expanded, showing complex mathematical sequences that seemed to fold in on themselves. It wasn't just advanced technology. It was something entirely new, operating on principles that defied conventional physics. Before Vera could respond, the station's emergency protocols activated. A message from the Galactic Council flashed across every display surface. Omigie liviil threat dtt. The goidehes, ego eki in id. Nexel's membranes paled. The void. A cosmic horror that had been theorized but never confirmed. Ancient records spoke of a force that consumed entire civilizations, leaving nothing but empty space in its wake. Many had dismissed it as a myth, a story to frighten young species away from exploring too far into the unknown. The quantum signal from Earth pulsed again, and this time it carried a message. The translation matrix took several moments to decode it, struggling with concepts that had no equivalent in modern languages. To all surviving civilizations, the message began. We know what's coming. We've been preparing. It's time to wake up. Vera's crystalline form resonated with shock as new signals began emanating from every planet and moon in the Sol system. What had appeared to be dead worlds were transforming. Massive structures emerged from beneath Mars' surface. Jupiter's moons cracked open to reveal vast shipyards. And Earth was changing most dramatically of all. The planet's oceans parted as enormous machines rose from the depths. Continents shifted, revealing cities that had been hidden for millennia. The entire solar system was awakening, like a massive war machine coming online. They never left, Nexel whispered, his membranes quivering. They were building something. Another message arrived, this one accompanied by visual data that showed human forms emerging from stasis chambers deep within Earth. They were different now, taller, stronger, their bodies seamlessly integrated with technology that made them appear almost godlike. 4,000 years ago, the message continued. We detected something moving between the galaxies, something that had already consumed countless civilizations. We knew we weren't ready to face it. Not then. So we made a choice. We transformed our entire civilization into a weapon. Every human who could fight went into stasis. Every resource we had went into preparing for this moment. The displays showed more of what humanity had become. Their technology wasn't just advanced. It was revolutionary. They had found ways to manipulate the fundamental forces of the universe, to bend reality itself to their will. The void is not unstoppable, the message declared. We've spent 4 millennia learning its weaknesses, developing weapons that can hurt it. We can fight it. But we'll need help. The galaxy must unite, or we'll all face extinction. Vira and Nexel watched as humanity's forces continued to emerge. Ships that could phase through normal space. Weapons that could rewrite the laws of physics in localized areas. Armor that adapted to any attack. Administrator, Nexel said quietly, I don't think we're maintaining the quarantine anymore. I think we're being recruited. As if in response, a massive human vessel emerged from hyperspace near the research station. It dwarfed their facility, its hull covered in patterns that hurt to look at directly. A new message arrived, this one specifically for them. We've monitored your research station since you established it. The human commander's voice was calm, but carried in weight of authority, earned through millennia of preparation. You've watched us faithfully, trying to understand why we vanished. Now you'll be among the first to understand why we returned. The void will reach this sector in less than a standard year. We need this station converted into a forward command post. Will you help us? Vera's crystalline form pulsed with the gravity of the moment. Humanity hadn't abandoned the galaxy. They had sacrificed everything to become its defenders. Now, facing an enemy that threatened all life, they offered their protection and asked for alliance. The administrator made the only choice she could. We accept, she transmitted. Tell us what you need. As the human vessel moved closer, Vera realized that the greatest mystery in galactic history had just been solved, only to reveal a far greater challenge. The species that had vanished in peace had returned for war, transformed by 4,000 years of single-minded preparation into something that defied comprehension. The real question now was, would it be enough to stop the void? The first time Ambassador Vera saw Earth's Forge complex, her crystalline form nearly shattered from sensory overload. What had once been the asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter had been transformed into a single massive construction facility, its components connected by energy fields that bent space itself. Fleet Commander Sarah Chen, her enhanced form towering over the alien delegation, gestured at the endless rows of ships under construction. This is just one of 12 such facilities in Sol. We've had 4,000 years to prepare, and we used every second. The human commander's body was a testament to how far humanity had evolved. Quantum circuitry flowed through her skin like luminescent veins, her eyes shifting between different spectrum analyses as she spoke. She was both organic and mechanical, the distinction having become meaningless during humanity's long preparation. How many? Asked Nexel, his membrane surface rippling with awe. At full capacity, each forge can produce a capital ship every 20 hours, Sarah replied. But it's not the number that matters. It's what they can do. As if on cue, one of the newly completed vessels began its activation sequence. It was beautiful in a terrifying way, its hull covered in patterns that seemed to exist in multiple dimensions simultaneously. As the ship's systems came online, the space around it began to twist. Reality manipulation drives, Sarah explained. The void exists partially outside normal space-time. To fight it, we had to learn to do the same. The alien delegation watched as the ship performed its first maneuver. Rather than moving through space, it seemed to fold space around itself, appearing at its destination instantly. There was no acceleration, no momentum, just a fundamental rewriting of where and when the vessel existed. This is impossible, one of the Galactic Council observers whispered. The energy requirements alone. Impossible by your current understanding of physics, Sarah corrected. We had to develop new forms of mathematics just to describe what we were building. The quantum reactors that power these ships operate on principles we're still fully documenting. They moved deeper into the Forge complex, passing laboratories where humans worked on weapons that defied conventional understanding. In one chamber, scientists were testing devices that could isolate pockets of space-time, creating zones where they could rewrite physical laws at will. Why show us all this? Vera asked, her crystalline structure vibrating with a mix of awe and apprehension. Sarah's expression grew solemn. Because you need to understand what you're agreeing to fight alongside. Humanity didn't just advance. We transformed ourselves into something new. Every human you see here volunteered to become part of a weapons system 4,000 years in the making. She led them to a massive viewing chamber overlooking Earth. The planet's surface was now covered in vast mechanical structures, its oceans used as coolant for quantum computers that ran simulations of cosmic-scale warfare. When we detected the Void's approach, we had a choice, Sarah continued. We could try to fight it as we were and die, or we could take the long view, transform our entire civilization into something capable of stopping it. Every human who went into stasis knew they would wake up in a universe that had moved on without them, that their children and grandchildren would live and die while they slept. But they did it because the alternative was the extinction of all life in the galaxy. An alert sounded throughout the complex. New sensor data showed the Void's advance. Another solar system had gone dark, its stars seemingly erased from existence. The Void doesn't just destroy, Sarah explained, her voice hardening. It consumes, takes the potential of entire civilizations, and uses it to grow stronger. That's why conventional weapons can't stop it. That's why we had to become something more than conventional. She turned to face the delegation directly. What you're seeing here isn't just technology. It's the product of an entire species dedicating 4 millennia to a single purpose. We've rewritten our own genetic code, merged our consciousness with quantum computers, and turned our solar system into the largest weapon ever constructed. But we're not conquerors, we're guardians. The delegates watched as more ships came online, their reality warping drives creating a cascade of spatial distortions that ripple through the complex. Each vessel represented a level of technological advancement that made their most advanced ships look primitive by comparison. The Void will reach the outer edges of claimed space in less than a year, Sarah concluded. We're offering every species in the galaxy a choice. Stand with us, learn to use what we've created, and help us fight, or try to face what's coming alone. Vera's crystalline form pulsed with the weight of the decision before them. She had come seeking answers about humanity's disappearance. Instead, she had found a species that had sacrificed their present to secure a future for all life. How do we begin? She asked. Sarah's quantum-enhanced eyes glowed with approval. First, we teach you how to see reality as we now do. Then, we show you how to change it. Above them, another capital ship emerged from the forge, its systems already coming online. Humanity's arsenal was awakening, and with it, the galaxy's best hope for survival. The real question was whether the rest of galactic civilization could adapt quickly enough to what humanity had become. The Void was coming, but this time, something was waiting for it. Something that had spent 4,000 years learning how to end its reign of destruction forever. The Helia system blazed with impossible light as humanity launched their first major offensive against the Void. Commander Sarah Chen stood on the bridge of the HFY Prometheus, her quantum-enhanced consciousness processing battle data from 1,000 ships simultaneously. Reality anchors holding at 98%, reported Lieutenant Maya Rodriguez, her neural interfaces pulsing with streams of tactical information. The Void can't establish a foothold in controlled space. The scene before them defied conventional physics. Humanity's fleet had created a vast geometric pattern of overlapping fields that forced normal space-time rules on an enemy that existed partially outside them. The Void's tendrils, massive structures of dark energy that consumed everything they touched, struggled against the constraints. Ambassador Vira watched from her crystalline observation platform, her form resonating with the enormous energies being channeled. Your weapons, they're not just destroying it. They're changing the fundamental nature of space itself. That's why we spent 4,000 years preparing, Sarah replied, her enhanced eyes tracking multiple dimensional layers simultaneously. The Void isn't just an enemy. It's a cancer in reality itself. You don't fight cancer with conventional weapons. You change the environment so it can't survive. The human fleet began its primary attack sequence. Ships that had looked dormant suddenly unfolded into impossible geometries, revealing weapon systems that operated on principles even their alien allies couldn't comprehend. Reality warping beams lanced out, not so much damaging the Void as rewriting the laws that allowed it to exist. Multiple containment breaches in sectors 7 through 12, Maya reported. The void is attempting to adapt. Sarah's expression hardened. Deploy the entropy inverters. Show it what 4 millennia of human innovation looks like. New weapons platforms emerged from hyperspace, their surfaces covered in patterns that hurt to look at directly. They didn't fire conventional energy weapons. Instead, they created zones where the arrow of time itself reversed. Portions of the void that had consumed worlds and stars were forced to unconsume them, their very existence being undone. The void retaliated. Dark tendrils of anti-reality lashed out, attempting to corrupt human ships and crews. But humanity had prepared for this too. Their vessels' quantum shields didn't just block the attacks. They absorbed them, analyzed their structure, and used the information to make their countermeasures stronger. "This is impossible," whispered one of the Galactic Council observers. "The energy requirements alone would drain a star." "That's why we rebuilt Sol," Sarah explained, never taking her eyes off the battle. "Our sun isn't just a star anymore. It's the core of the largest energy collection and distribution system ever created. Every star in human space has been similarly modified." The battle reached its crescendo as humanity unveiled their masterstroke. The fleet's formation shifted, creating a vast three-dimensional mandala of ships and energy fields. At its center, space itself began to fold inward. "Reality inversion protocol initiated," Maya announced. "Quantum resonance at maximum." The void, for the first time in recorded history, began to retreat. But it wasn't fast enough. The human fleet's mandala pattern created a cascade effect, transforming the very nature of space in an expanding sphere. Where the void had corrupted reality, humanity's technologies restored it. But changed, enhanced, made resistant to future incursions. By the first light, Vera breathed, her crystalline form barely able to process what she was witnessing. "You're not just fighting it. You're immunizing space itself against it." Sarah nodded. "Every battle makes the next one easier. The void can adapt, but so can we. And we've had 4,000 years to perfect the art of adaptation." As the battle concluded, the full scope of humanity's victory became clear. The Helia system hadn't just been defended. It had been transformed. The space where the void had been now shimmered with new properties, fundamental forces operating according to humanity's carefully crafted modifications. But Sarah's expression remained grave. This was just one system, and the void is attacking thousands simultaneously. We need to scale up our response. She turned to the alien observers, her quantum-enhanced eyes glowing with intensity. "What you've seen today is just the beginning. Every human ship, every weapon, every tactic we've shown you can be taught to your people. But you need to be willing to change, to embrace new ways of thinking about reality itself." Vera's crystalline form pulsed with determination. "We've seen what the void does to those who can't adapt. Teach us." As the fleet regrouped and prepared to jump to the next battlefront, Sarah allowed herself a moment of reflection. Humanity had succeeded in their first major engagement, proving that their 4 millennia of preparation hadn't been in vain. But the real challenge lay ahead, teaching the rest of the galaxy to fight as they did, to see reality not as a fixed set of rules, but as a canvas to be reshaped. The void had awakened humanity's determination. Now that determination would reshape the galaxy itself, one battle at a time. Deep within Earth's quantum core complex, Dr. Elena Santos watched the transformation process with growing concern. The volunteer, a crystalline Ardanian scientist, was undergoing the procedure that would allow them to interface with human technology. The process was necessary, but the screams that echoed through the consciousness channels were haunting. "Neural quantum integration at 60%, reported the AI supervisor. "Subject is experiencing expected reality displacement." Commander Sarah Chen stood beside Elena, her enhanced form processing data streams from multiple dimensions simultaneously. "We're asking them to fundamentally change what they are," she said softly. "We shouldn't expect it to be easy." The Ardanian's crystalline form pulsed with rainbow patterns as new quantum circuitry grew through their matrix. Like all volunteers, they had chosen this, understanding that interfacing with human technology required more than just training. It required evolution. Integration at 80%, the AI continued. Memory patterns stabilizing. Elena's own quantum enhancements let her perceive the volunteer's transformation at the deepest level. The Ardanian wasn't just gaining new abilities. They were becoming something that had never existed before, a hybrid of their original form and the technology humanity had spent 4,000 years perfecting. "Commander," Elena said, her voice tight, "we need to talk about the long-term implications. The changes we're making to these species, they're permanent, hereditary. We're not just giving them weapons, we're forcing their evolution." Sarah's enhanced eyes shifted through multiple spectrum analyses before settling on her colleague. "Do you think we had a choice? The void doesn't just destroy civilizations, it consumes their potential. Every species it absorbs makes it stronger. We either help them transcend their limitations, or we watch them die." An alert pulsed through their quantum link. Another system had gone dark, the void's advance continuing despite humanity's best efforts. The galactic map showed hundreds of similar dead zones, places where reality itself had been consumed. "Integration complete," announced the AI. "Subject is stable." The Ardanian rose from the transformation chamber, their crystalline form now laced with flowing quantum circuits. When they spoke, their consciousness resonated across multiple dimensional frequencies simultaneously. "I understand now," they said, their voice carrying new harmonics. "I can see the patterns, the way reality folds. How did we ever think we could fight the void without this?" Elena exchanged glances with Sarah. This was the moment they had seen hundreds of times before. The instant when a being first grasped the true nature of what humanity had become. It was beautiful and terrifying in equal measure. "Show them," Sarah commanded softly. The newly enhanced Ardanian reached out, their crystalline fingers moving in impossible ways. Space itself responded, folding and unfolding according to their will. What had once been impossible was now intuitive, the fundamental forces of the universe bending to consciously directed thought. "We've transformed 10,000 volunteers from 30 different species," Elena reported, reviewing the data. "Each success makes the process more stable, more refined. But the ethical implications are less severe than extinction." Sarah finished. "We spent 4,000 years becoming something new because we had to. Now we're offering that same choice to others. Yes, it changes them forever. Yes, their children will be different from their ancestors, but they'll be alive." The Ardanian was still exploring their new abilities, creating complex quantum structures in the air around them. Each movement showed greater understanding, greater control. They were adapting faster than expected. "Commander," a quantum pulse interrupted their observation. "The void has breached the outer defense line in the Centauri sector. It's using our own technology against us." Sarah's expression hardened. This was the scenario they had feared. The void learning, adapting, incorporating the very changes humanity had spent millennia developing. "Show me." The tactical display expanded, showing impossible geometries where the void had corrupted human quantum technology. It wasn't just copying their advances, it was perverting them, turning the power to reshape reality into something horrific. "This was always the risk," Elena said quietly. "By changing the rules of reality, we made it possible for those rules to be changed against us." Sarah nodded grimly. "Which is why we need to move faster. Every species we enhance, every civilization we help transcend their limitations, gives us new perspectives, new ways of thinking about the fundamental nature of existence. The void can copy our technology, but it can't copy imagination, creativity, the spark that makes sentient life unique." The Ardanian volunteer turned to them, their enhanced form pulsing with new understanding. "Then we need to share this gift more widely. My people, they need to understand what's possible, what we can become." As if in response, another alert sounded. More volunteers arriving from across the galaxy, each willing to undergo the transformation that would let them join humanity's fight. The price was high, but the alternative was oblivion. Sarah's quantum-enhanced consciousness expanded, touching the minds of every enhanced being in the solar system. Then let's show them. All of them. It's time to unveil what humanity has really become. The transformation chamber hummed back to life, preparing for its next volunteer. Above them, in orbit around Earth, thousands more waited for their turn. The change was spreading, accelerating, reshaping the galaxy one species at a time. The question was no longer whether they could stop the void, but what the galaxy would look like when they did. At the edge of known space, where reality frayed into quantum uncertainty, humanity's combined fleet faced their final revelation. Commander Sarah Chen stood on the Prometheus's bridge, her enhanced consciousness linked with thousands of transformed beings from across the galaxy. What they had discovered here changed everything. It's not just a force of nature, Elena's voice carried through their quantum network. The void. It's a test. A crucible created by something far older than any of us. Before them stretched an impossible structure, a vast geometric pattern of dark energy that pulsed with ancient purpose. 4,000 years of preparation had led humanity to this moment, only to discover they were part of something far larger than their own survival. "Show them what we found," Sarah commanded. The fleet's combined sensors revealed the truth, patterns in the void's behavior stretching back millions of years. Each cycle of destruction and rebirth had been carefully orchestrated, pushing species toward ever greater levels of advancement. Humanity's choice to transform themselves hadn't been unique. It had been anticipated. "We're not the first," Elena realized, analyzing data streams from multiple dimensions. Every 50,000 years, the void appears. Species either transcend their limitations or fall. We just took a different approach. The structure before them shifted, responding to their presence. Ancient quantum signatures, far more advanced than even humanity's enhanced technology, pulsed with recognition. They had passed some invisible threshold, proven themselves worthy of what came next. A voice echoed through their consciousness, not in words, but in pure concept. The cycle continues. Evolution demands challenge. Growth requires catalyst. The transformed Ardanian, now fully integrated with human quantum systems, resonated with understanding. It's not trying to destroy us. It's forcing us to become something more. Sarah's enhanced vision perceived layers of truth in the ancient structure, but we can choose what we become. That's what our 4,000 years of preparation were really about. Not just survival, but maintaining our humanity even as we transformed ourselves. The void's pattern shifted again, its dark energy tendrils weaving new configurations. More data flooded their quantum networks. The true history of the galaxy, cycles of evolution spanning millions of years. Each civilization that faced the void had changed, adapted, become something new. "We have a choice," Sarah broadcast to the combined fleet. "We can complete the cycle as intended, transcend into something beyond our current understanding. Or we can break it," Elena finished. "Use everything we've learned, everything we've become, to end the cycles. Let species evolve at their own pace." The ancient consciousness pulsed with what might have been amusement. More patterns emerged, showing civilizations that had tried to break the cycle before. None had succeeded. None had prepared as thoroughly as humanity. Sarah's quantum-enhanced mind expanded, touching every transformed being in the fleet. "We spent 4,000 years learning to change reality itself. Now we use that knowledge not just to survive, but to free every species that comes after us." The fleet moved into position, forming a vast geometric pattern of their own. Every ship, every enhanced being, contributed to what came next. They weren't just fighting the void. They were rewriting the fundamental laws that allowed it to exist. Reality inversion protocols at maximum. Maya reported, her consciousness streaming data across multiple dimensions. All transformed species linked and synchronized. The combined power of thousands of civilizations, each enhanced by humanity's 4 millennia of preparation, focused on a single purpose. They weren't trying to destroy the ancient mechanism. They were changing its very nature, transforming it from a force of destruction into something new. The void's pattern began to shift, its dark energy responding to their manipulation. Instead of consuming reality, it was being reshaped, repurposed. The very force that had threatened all life was being transformed into a protective barrier around the galaxy. The cycle ends, Sarah declared, her enhanced consciousness resonating with the combined will of countless transformed beings. But evolution continues, on our terms. As the ancient mechanism transformed, its consciousness touched theirs one final time. Unexpected solution. Acceptable outcome. The test is passed. The dark energy that had threatened to consume all life began to shimmer with new purpose. Humanity hadn't just survived the trial. They had changed its fundamental nature. Future civilizations would still face challenges, still need to grow and adapt, but they would do so without the threat of extinction hanging over them. Sarah looked out at the transformed void, now a shimmering quantum barrier that protected rather than threatened. 4,000 years ago, we chose to become something new so we could save others. Now we've given the galaxy the same choice, to evolve not from fear, but from hope.